You might ask me, in fact some of you even said tonight, do we even believe in the evil eye? Is it idolatrous? I wish it were. But Ayin Hora is something going all the way back in biblical times. It's a fact of life. It's a reality. Just like, I don't know why I'm going to share this with you, but I will. I'm really stupid at the rabbi this morning. One of the problems when we're on our phones the whole time, like you are now, sometimes have you ever done it like when you're walking on your phone? So this morning when I was preparing the class, Shiri, listen to this, funny, be careful. So I was walking around JTLV this morning preparing the class on my phone, and all of a sudden I got knocked out. Why? Because I was walking down that wall over there past the Jedi, and I kind of forgot my bearings, and that shelf, I didn't see it was there, and the shelf, Shiri, I smashed into the shelf this morning, that shelf over there, so be careful not to smash into it. And I literally got a huge bang, and I have had a headache all day. So what happens when you smash yourself into a shelf? It hurts. If I punch you in the face and into your nose, it could break your nose. So there's a way spiritually to break your nose, but way worse. It's called the Ayin Hora, meaning if someone is jealous of someone and puts his eye or her eye on that person and says, Hashem, do they really deserve that? Do you know what Hashem does? They have to look at it in Shemayim. And they say, they've been asked a question, do they deserve that? And if chas v'shalom that person maybe doesn't deserve that, could be balagan. It could be some of the blessings are taken away. Moreover, let's go through because I want you to understand the chronology of how the Torah depicts Ayin Hora. Tonight we're going to give you the good news, how to protect yourself from it. Both practically, we've got a kabbalist here, one of the experts in the world who can get rid of it. He's here. Number two, I'm going to give you the holistic way to ward it off from coming in the future. If you internalize what we're going to learn tonight and really integrate it into your life, we can protect you. But let's start off like this. Anyone know where in the Torah it first mentions about Ayin Hora? In Genesis?
Sarah.
Go on.
Sarah was jealous of the God.
It doesn't say Ayin Hora there, as far as I know. Maybe it does. I have to look into it.
I know.
Go on.
Yaakov, when he sent his kids to the farm, he told them...
We have a round of, go psh, go psh, go psh, psh. Go on, keep going.
And he told his son to go different gates in the front, not in one gate, to go to 10 different gates. So, and it's written, Lo tishre be'em Ayin Hora, so the Ayin Hora won't be on them.
Yaakov told his 10 handsome young boys, don't all go together in Egypt. It's going to attract the Ayin Hora. And he uses that expression, and Rashi says it. It could attract the Ayin Hora if you all go together. Why would it attract the Ayin Hora? Because they're gorgeous. They were super handsome, incredibly butch boys, all very spiritually beautiful, inner and outer, and looking a little bit different from the Egyptians, so they're going to attract attention. And he said, you've all got to go on different entrances. Because chas v'shalom, the Ayin Hora attracts you. It's the first time we see in the Torah the reality of the Ayin Hora. We see it very much with Bilam, where he was the ultimate Ayin Hora person. That's why he actually had one eye, like a pirate. Isn't it interesting we call it Ayin Hora, not Einayim Ra'im? Because it's something about seeing it from one perspective, seeing reality, seeing from the critical eye. That's enough to create balagan. The biggest time where we see the tragedy of Ayin Hora, when we have to explain really what happened in Shmuel Bet, to the end of Shmuel Bet, David HaMelech, King David, does a census. He counts the Jewish people in a way that you weren't meant to. He thought he can, and he didn't do it correctly. Do you know how many died as a result of Ayin Hora? 70,000 Jews died as a result of King David, and that's why from that moment on we did never go 1, 2, 3. Please, my friends, never go 1, 2, 3 counting people. That's why. What phrase do we use when we're counting the minyan? Moshiach et amecha It's 10 words. I've got another one, which is kind of funny. And if you do it, people might think you're bonkers, but I think it's cool. Because people think, why are you making a blessing on me? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Also 10. That's another way to do 10. We don't go 1, 2, 3, 4. Why not? Yardena, why don't we go 1, 2, 3, 4? Lama. 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 Why? What's wrong with counting? On the contrary, people do count their diamonds too. They do count their money.
I don't know why.
Oh, I can tell. Anyone? Anyone know why we shouldn't count each other? This is quite deep. Every time we point, God forbid, and that's why you should never point at someone, and you go 1, 2, in Shamayim, first of all, they're now scrutinizing you. And here's the genius, or the lack of genius. When you say the number 2, it's a separation from the 1. You're, God forbid, disattaching them from Hashem. You're making them now something in and of themselves. They're now individuals. And now they don't have some of the protection of when they're in 1, they're protected. And that can cause susceptibility and cause vulnerability. And that's why Hashem can count us. In the Torah, Hashem counts us because we're all His children and it's all within the 1. That's why we're allowed to count in the Mishkan, because it's all part of the 1. But when we count with our egos and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, super dangerous, we don't do that. The Gemara in Baba Metzia, page 42a, says, Rav went to a cemetery and he wanted to find out how many people died as a result of Ayin Hora. Out of the 100 people buried, 99 came as Ayin Hora. Now, I don't know if that means 99% of all people dying is a result of Ayin Hora, or does it mean there was a problem in that cemetery? I don't know. But what we do know is we see the danger of Ayin Hora, the seriousness of it. It's not a joke. And therefore, let's go straight to it. Today's generation is going to be more dangerous. As I'm being filmed right now on Instagram, right now on Facebook. If we flaunt our blessings, we are asking for trouble. I say again, if we flaunt our blessings, that's why when someone's pregnant, they keep it stum. Because there's plenty of people that would love to get pregnant, that if God forbid, they would be upset, they would be jealous, they would say, why do you deserve to be pregnant? In Shamayim, Hashem tzilcha al yad zeminech, you have to understand, Hashem's co-creators, we're co-creators. So if we create the question, that question is then asked in Shamayim. And then if that question is asked, they have to scrutinize you. Now here's the secret, are you ready? Yosef and the brothers, it was all about Ayin Hora. The brothers could hurt Yosef. Why? Because in Shamayim, if you, let's say, Johnny puts an evil eye on Cindy. Come on in. So we're here from the rabbi now. Come and join us. You take the rabbi's chair if you want to get an introduction to begin with. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my friend from school, who's now one of the leading experts in the world in Ayin Hora, Rabbi Hill. Take a seat here and you're on the camera.
Right. Sorry about the delay, everyone. So sorry. Okay, so we're running late, so I'd like to talk about 3 things very briefly. Number 1, the Ayin Hora procedure, pouring the lead, is what I've been doing upstairs. How do we know we're doing something real? So I'd like to tell you sort of proof how we know it actually works, we're doing something. Then I'd like to talk about the Kamaya, which I've got, the amulet, which here's one I prepared earlier, which I wear 24/7. There you go. And I'd like to talk about my new book, which should be out on Amazon soon, but you can have plenty of copies, and if anyone would like a copy. So I'll just designate a couple of minutes about each thing. Pouring the lead. Okay, now Jews have been doing this for hundreds of years. In the 6-Day War, there was a woman in Jerusalem. Soldiers were just lining up outside her door, non-stop pouring lead on top of the soldiers' heads. Does it work? Well, on my website, there's 240 success stories in the last few years. Besides that, as we've just seen, some of the people who've been here, if they would like to tell you, I don't need to know what issues you have, what physical issues you have. I pour the lead and I see in the lead exactly what the physical issues of the person are. Well, is it true? If you Google Rational Judaism Hall, anyone wants to Google it, you'll get to a blog by a guy called Nosson Slifkin, and he didn't believe any of this was real. So he says, I want to prove that he's talking rubbish, this guy, Rabbi Hill. So I said, okay, you have to take on a mitzvah if you want me to do the procedure, and in fact, you don't have to pay me unless my diagnosis is correct. So he writes this on his blog, and you'll find this, you'll go home and you'll Google Rational Judaism Hall. And he said to me, he says on his blog as follows, he says, I gave Rabbi Hill the name of a female. This woman had a problem with her right shoulder, she had a sore throat and was suffering from anxiety. And he then copies and pastes the email I sent him about 2 hours later after I'd done the procedure. And he shows on his website, this is the email I got back from Rabbi Hill. Well, I've done the procedure, she's got a problem with her right shoulder, she's got a sore throat, and she has a problem with her head. And he writes, I have no idea how Rabbi Hill did this, right? Okay, how am I doing this? Is it permitted? On my website, as I say, there's actually 237 times where I've told people exactly what's wrong with them by doing the lead procedure. I've stopped doing it, I've stopped adding these onto the website because it happens basically every time that I do it. I can literally see the siyata d'shmaya with heavenly help. I can see exactly what's wrong with the person. You might ask, what happens to the guys called David Ben Sora? Now there might be 650 David Ben Soras alive, and I'm doing this mostly remotely. So I'm doing it in Jerusalem, and David Ben Sora is in Chicago or Valais in Switzerland or wherever he is, or Chamonix or Brazil. And his name's David Ben Sara, and I tell him over the phone by email, you've got a problem with your right foot, you've got this, that, and the other. How does it work? Well, I can't tell you exactly how it works. I'll tell you the truth, I don't really fully understand how it works myself. Does it work? It works. I'm getting the name, I'm doing what I know to do. Where did I get to learn it from? That is a secret, not even my wife knows. However, is it permitted? Well, I do have the written haskama of a dayan in the Badat Seder Chareda, so if you eat Badat's food from Jerusalem, then Rav Matis Yoel Deutsch on my website has given me a full written haskama to do it. I'll discuss about why it's mutter to do in a second. When I look at the lead, and I tell people, you've got X, Y, and Z, and then I show them, am I looking at an MRI of the person's body, or am I looking at their Ayin Hora? Now that is a question I can't answer, because it seems to be an argument in the Gemara. Rav says that all physical issues, every single one, is being caused by Ayin Hora. You bang your arm, you get an infection, it's caused by Ayin Hora. Okay. Shmuel argues and says not necessarily. So when I look at someone's lead and I say, well, this person's got X, Y, and Z, am I looking at an MRI of the body? Am I looking at Ayin Hora? I don't know. And because I'm, as far as I know, the only person alive who can do this, i.e. look in the lead and see what's with them, I have no one to ask. So I don't know. But either way, the lead seems to be pretty accurate. I think we have a couple of witnesses today who can testify that the lead is pretty accurate. It will show you exactly what the person's physical muscle is. Is that Ayin Hora or an MRI of the body? I don't know. Why is it permitted? Okay, it could be that what I'm doing is something called Darkei Aimori, the way of the Emorites. However, which is not witchcraft, but it's a form of sort of Chochmas Hagoyim, right? Witchcraft is using the Shemus HaTumah, Tomitic names. I don't do that. Darkei Aimori is when you're doing a segula, something which seems to work, and we don't understand why it works. Is it permissible to do? Well, it's 100% permissible to do. The Tzemach Tzedek says you can pour lead to try and save someone's life on Shabbos. Okay? I don't do it on Shabbos. I've never done it on Shabbos. I have no intention of doing it on Shabbos. The tshuva is on my website. The Tzemach Tzedek says you can actually do it. He starts off by saying only if it's been proven to work. And then he says if the guy's only done it once and saved someone, then you can do it on Shabbos to try and save someone's life. Okay? So, why is it permitted? Tomim Tiyah and Hashem Lekecha, we walk straight with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Number one, I'm not trying to predict the future. That is a very, very grey and very dangerous area to try and predict the future. I don't know any of the future. I'm just revealing the present and say this person's got X, Y, and Z wrong with it. They've got a problem with their foot and okay. So I'm not predicting the future. Whether it's the Ramah or the Beis Yosef. If you're like a Sephardi, you go like the Beis Yosef, or you're an Ashkenazi, you go like the Ramah. They both say Darkei Mori is mutar l'chatchila, absolutely permissible. The only argument between them is only if it's been proven to work and help people. So one of them says, I can't remember which one, one says only if it's been proven to work are you allowed to do it, and the other one says even if it's not proven to work, just for your intention to help people, you're allowed to do Darkei Mori. So this will be classified as Darkei Mori. I'm not using any Shemus Hatuma, any Tomei Dika names, and that's why the Tzemach said it says you're perfectly allowed to do it, and you're allowed to do it, it even says you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. The success stories, Baruch Hashem, I've had 240 success stories. Some of them are quite seemingly miraculous. I had a guy who was given, if you look at my website, there's 240 stories. I had the guy who was suicidal and his businesses were all going up, and then within, very shortly, everything turned around, saved his life. I had a woman, I said to her, you've got a problem with your stomach on the left side. She says she's got a cancerous tumour, she's finished. I said, we've done the procedure, let's see what happens. 2 weeks later, she says to me she had a medical miracle. The doctor made an incision in the surgery and with a pair of tweezers pulled out a 9-centimetre tumour, cut it off and said, I've cured your cancer. Wished her Mazel Tov 5 times, he's not even Jewish. So I had another guy who was unemployed for 10 years. He writes me an email 72 hours later. He got a job with a bank in the UK. It goes on. They're not all as impressive as that, but some of them are really impressive. A 24-year-old, 26-year-old girl who needed a shidduch. You did it on Motzi Shabbos. She dated Wednesday. Tonight we're making l'chaim, and so on and so forth. And some people don't even tell me. I went back to England after a year. This was last year, and I met a guy who was given 6 weeks to live, and he tells me his cancer has been cured. He was diabetic, not diabetic anymore. He's never felt better. He's lost 30 kilos, and Baruch Hashem. So. I only do it again, I don't know if I mentioned it, I only do it if the person undertakes a small mitzvah. So you have to undertake a small mitzvah, basically for 2 reasons. Number one, I need siyata d'shma, I need heavenly help. So when there's a mitzvah involved, I'm going to get heavenly help in mitzvah Hashem. Hashem's going to help me. But number 2, personally, I need protection from your Ayin Hora when I pull the lead. I'm going to war. And there was one client we had here tonight, well, I could not get rid of his Ayin Hora. There was a battle going on. And that's why we were delayed. And I was really going at it. And I don't know if the person wants to relate what happened, but you could feel it underneath the cover. There was a battle going on. So I need protection from your Ayin Hora when I pour the lead. So when there's a mitzvah involved, I'm not worried. So if later on, Mitzvah Hashem, if you're going to line up and we're going to do a quick pouring over you like they did in the 6-day war with all the soldiers, right? Where's your mitzvah? So I wouldn't demand a mitzvah from you, but what I would demand is that everyone would say the Shema beforehand, the Shema until the Vishoyach. You can't read Hebrew, I've got it translated in English. So anyone who wants to line up and have me pour the lead on top of their head, they would have to say the Shema first, and that would be a condition. So that's as far, yes.
Sorry, this is a dumb question. What happens when you pour the lead over somebody's head? Does it stick to their hair? What can we expect?
Well, because of that, it does stick to their clothes, unfortunately, if you're not covered up. We have 2 coverings. We have a covering for your leg, and then we have another covering for your head. I do not put the pot on your head, I hold it above your head. So I'm holding a pot of water with salt in it and rudder herb above your head, and I'm taking a ladle of molten lead and pouring it above your head, and it hopefully will explode. And that is the procedure. So we had one mishap today with a bit of... You got it all off? It all came off?
It's all good.
Fantastic. This was a knife I gave to scrape it off. Baruch Hashem. There was one guy right earlier when he came to get rid of his Ayin Hora and he lost his trousers because they burnt a big hole in it. It doesn't actually burn through the clothes because it solidifies as soon as it touches the clothes. And it usually peels off the clothes, right? And very rarely ruins clothes. But it is a situation where if the clothes are plasticky or something, it will make a hole. Yes?
Does it matter who does the lead?
What do you mean, who does it?
Like, if you're doing it or someone else can do it for someone else?
Well, there's many people who pour the lead. As far as I know, I'm the only person who can look in the lead and tell them what's up with their body. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. I know where I got it from. Where did I get it from? Did I read it in a book? Did an old kabbalist tell me? Did someone come to me in a dream? Good question, right? On my website it says, where did Rabbi Hill learn to do this? And can anyone else be taught to do it? And I answer on the website, Rabbi Hill cannot answer this question for reasons he cannot say. So no one has a clue where he got it from. I'll give you one reason why I keep very, very quiet about where I got it from. One reason.
Ayin Hora.
What? Ayin Hora. By the way, I'm sorry I should have made my introduction. I love Rabbi Hill. I mean, I've known Avi for 50 years. He's a great guy. He's only one problem, he supports Tottenham Hotspur, but no one's perfect. Do you still support Tottenham?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, right, he doesn't know what it means. He did in my day. So thanks, Avi, for bringing me here, inviting me here. What were we saying just now?
Why we want it.
Oh, yes, why? Excellent. So someone's listening. One big reason I don't tell anyone is if I were to say I got it from the Sephardim, a Sephardi rabbi, so I have all the Ashkenazim say, oh, this guy's full of baloney. And if I say I got it from Chabad, so I have these guys. If I say I got it from Satmar, I have the Geras Gate. If I say, no matter who I say I got it from, I'm going to have 75% of the Jews saying, this guy is not for real. So no one knows where I got it from, so I could have got it from your Rebbe, you know? So if you're Chabad, if you're Sephardi, no one knows. And it really has protected me, because they can't come out against me and say, oh, he got it from there, we don't believe in that. At the end of the day, I've got a skoma from the Rav and the B'dat Seder Haredas, and therefore, I do it. So I do it. It. Baruch Hashem, it helps people. What can I do? I try my best. Can I guarantee I'm getting rid of your Ayin Hora? I can't guarantee. I can only do my best. Okay, the Kamaya I sell, right? The Kamaya, I didn't bring down the page, but you can see it upstairs if you go upstairs.
You're saying there is one thing that you will say.
Sorry?
You're saying there's one thing you will say.
Yeah, this is the reason. The reason why I can't tell anyone is because it protects me, gives me that protection against criticism, open criticism. The Kamaya, I saw the Kamaya as well. The Kamaya is written. It's very simple. The amulet, which I wear. It's the name Michal written 7 times on the parchment of a deer, and we take some earth from where you're born. So if you want the Kamaya, you're going to have to get some earth from where you're born. I've got earth from New York, London, Basel, but I don't have from Cape Town. Okay? So if you're born in Cape Town, you're going to have to get someone from Cape Town to send you the earth if you want the Kamaya. I sell the Kamaya because Rav Ron Chamoy was a Talmud Muvik of Rav Chaim Palachi. Zatzal writes in his Sefer, if you do this, you write on the cloth of a tzvi, on the parchment of a deer, 7 times Michoel. But Tahara, the guy writes it, the Sefer has gone to the mikveh, and he takes some earth where you're born and add it in. Tried and tested 1,000 times, you will never ever be harmed. I have a few guys in Gaza right now who are carrying my Kamaya, right? And Baruch Hashem, they haven't been harmed. Baruch Hashem, it means Hashem, the Shmir should be special to all the Jewish Cholim in Gaza and all Lebanon. But he gives a guarantee you'll never ever be harmed. So I sold the Kamaya. I don't write the Kamayas myself. I arrange the pouches and everything. So I sold the Kamayas. If you're going to get a Kamaya, if you would like to buy one, then you need some earth from where you're born. And we'll quickly finish off with... sorry? I had someone I had a woman who went to the hospital in Poland. She was born. She went to a tree next to the hospital, got some earth. You need a pinch of earth to add it into a Kamaya. So the closer the better. Yeah, I was in London a couple of years ago. I went to the St Mary's Hospital in Hammersmith. It doesn't exist anymore. There's a pile of flats there, but there's a big tree there. Went there, got some earth, and added it into my Kamaya. So I have earth from London and New York, Manhattan. I've got upstairs, Switzerland, but some obscure place. If you're born in Belarus, I don't think I got Belarus. I got other places in Poland.
Italy?
Milan. I think I have Milan. Were you born in Milan?
Yes.
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 I think I definitely used to have Milan. I'm pretty sure. Okay, the book. Right, I'll finish all the book. This book has just come out, called Wild. Spectacular answers to challenging questions in Judaism. So I asked, this has nothing to do with Ayin Hora, but it is answering all these really good questions that you've had. Like, for example, if God knows what you're going to choose, why do you have free choice? Right? Why do women say the bracha sh'asani kirtzona and men say shelo asani isha? Right? It sounds a bit feminist or whatever, or anti-feminist, whatever you like. Why are you allowed to say thank you to someone if everything comes from God? But there's also some fantastic stories in here that you've never heard before. I'll give you a quick example. My brother had a chavrusa 25 years ago, and his wife Nebuch had a miscarriage. And the doctors told him, my brother's chavrusa, that your wife needs girud, she needs scraping of the room, because there's placenta left inside. And it's a medical procedure which she needs. They told her, if you don't have the procedure, you're going to die from blood poisoning, right? So this, my friend, my brother's chavrusa, went to Zichron Moshe Stieblach, where he wanted a bracha from Rav Yisrael Yankel Fisher. By the way, Rav Yisrael Yankel Fisher sent hundreds of people to do the Rebbe's procedure. So he went to Rav Yisrael Yankel Fisher to get a bracha for his wife's girud, this procedure, to clean out the womb from this placenta which is left inside. This, if you have it in Jerusalem and you go past the Zichron Moshe Stieblach, the shul there, this happened on the steps of the shul, right? He was going into Mincha, my brother's chavrusa, 25 years ago, says to him, Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov, can you give me a bracha? My wife needs girud, she's having a procedure, I would like a bracha. And Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov says, your wife does not need girud, she was having twins, the first baby died, and if you do girud, you will kill the second child, she's carrying the second child. No ultrasound, nothing, this is my brother's chavrusa, okay? 25 years ago. So this guy goes home to his wife and he tells her, listen, the doctors say you do nothing, you're going to die. Rav Yisrael Yankel Fisher says, if you do the procedure, you will kill an unborn child inside your body. Whatever you want to do. You want to go with the doctors? We'll do with the doctors. You want to go with the rabbi, Yisrael Yankel? Do nothing? So she said, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to listen to Rav Yisrael Yankel Fisher. 6 months later, she had a baby boy. So my brother said to him, and Rav Yisrael Yankel Fisher was the son, he was the bris. So my brother said, what did Rav Yisrael Yankel say when you told him, you saved this kid? He said, I didn't bother telling him, he wouldn't have been interested. Right? So there's some fantastic stories like that in this book. If you want the book, you can I've got plenty of copies upstairs. Even if you don't have money, you can pay Avi afterwards, and Avi will pass the money to me.
As long as we can have one for JTLV.
Yes, you can. I'll donate this one right now.
For Rabbi Hill, everybody.
So now,
we're going to Rabbi Samantha's appointments now.
Okay.
And then maybe you could do a little recording of your dinner afterwards, and then we're going to all meet Rabbi Hill afterwards and have like a quick for everyone. But those that want to do it properly with a one-to-one, Rabbi Hill said very nice. He's happy to stay till 3 a.m. So there's as much. If you all want to have one-on-ones, be careful. Okay, so Sherry's the one who's going to work out the timings for all of you. But let's continue. Thank you, Rabbi Hill.
thank you so much. Okay. So we're going upstairs and we're going back.
Okay. So
What floor is it?
all the way to the top. So here's the question, everyone. Even when you get it removed, if you don't know how to prevent it from coming back, it's not going to help. It's a bit like some of my students. They say, Rabbi, help me kosher my kitchen. I'm like, okay, but what's going to happen tomorrow? And what normally happens is within 2 days, it's not kosher again. So we're going to give you tonight in this room. Up there, we're going to do the external removal. Here, we're going to give you the internal protection of how to ensure that the Ayin Hora doesn't come back. B'ezrat Hashem, if and only if you're able to integrate these ideas. So it goes like this. You should know, it says in Pirkei Avot, Ayin Hora motzi'in et ha'olam min ha'olam. It says an evil eye can literally take someone out from the world. That's how serious it is. I think in today's day and age, with the advent of social media, it's a bigger problem than ever before. Because how many people just on social media are literally flaunting their success? We think it's normal. A celebration happens, let's put it out on Facebook. Who says? Who says? Maybe it's better not to. If people look at it who are jealous, if people look at it who wish they could be in your situation, and they're going to say, why should you have that? In Shamayim, they say, why should you have that? And it creates a ripple effect, and I really hope that today you can think about being more selective and more discreet with the good news that you put on social media. Influence is a little bit different. If any of you are social media influencers, that's part of your job, and maybe that's where your livelihood gets. So that's parnasa, so hopefully you're protected. And we're going to learn today one of the ways to get protected. For example, there was a case in America where someone had their 50th year anniversary, and then they received their 50th grandson on the 50th year anniversary, and they wanted to make a big party to celebrate it. So they asked the rabbi, could that invoke Ayin Hora? So Rav Shilberstein said, and he wrote in the Tshuva, not if you give $50 to tzedakah. Meaning, and this is critical, everybody, one of the ways to avert the Ayin Hora is to do mitzvot, is to celebrate a mitzvah. If you do Achnaset Sefer Torah, let the whole world know. If you're doing a mitzvah, even marriage is a mitzvah, we're okay with you doing a mitzvah. Engagement is not a mitzvah yet. Maybe be careful to celebrate engagement. Celebrate a Brit Milah is a mitzvah. But if you've got to go even more than that, this idea of like big birthday parties, you have to be a little bit careful. Because if you're going to invite people for a big birthday party, and some like really lavish one, and there's people that could be a bit jealous of you, you're going to learn tonight to be a little bit sanua, to be a little bit modest, to be a little bit discreet. So let's share with you 2 techniques to avert the Ayin Hora. And I believe just even one of these can really work. And it's up to you tonight which of the 2 you feel better. If you can do both, wow, you're going to be really protected. Here's the 2 techniques. Which one should we do first? Let's do the hay first. There was an ancient custom to avert Ayin Hora, especially when someone had a baby. You know, my sister is so paranoid about revealing when she's pregnant. No one knows she's pregnant until she has the baby. She literally doesn't, like my parents, we don't know until you can literally see she's popping. She's just so paranoid about it, because that's a great example of the baby's in danger, and chas v'shalom, she's done something to create an Ayin Hora. Especially pregnancy, there's a lot of people that would do anything to have a baby. And by the way, it's really important for you guys. If, let's say, someone gets engaged or someone gets pregnant that you wish you would have done, it's so important just to think of good for them. It says, Eizu Ashir, who's a wealthy person? Asamech b'chalko, someone who's happy not with your lot, their lot. We need to learn to be happy for other people as if it's your own. A lady went to Chaim Kanievsky asking if she can a bracha for getting engaged. He goes, what's going to really help you is the next time you have one of your friends' weddings, to dance at the wedding as if it's your own. And you get to that level of simcha for someone else, that could banish your Ayin Hora. So you have to learn to be genuinely happy for someone else. On the other hand, when things happen to you, you can't expect other people to be so nice, and therefore you've got to protect yourself somewhat. So what's one of the ways to protect? It used to be in the Masorah, when someone had a baby, they would put a necklace of a hay around a baby. Have you ever heard of that? The letter hay was put. What's the whole hay? There's another opinion that said to protect from the Ayin Hora, look up. That's what it says, just look up. Have a hay. One of the things you're going to be told from Rabbi Hill, he's going to say to you, one of the ways to avert the Ayin Hora is to say, I'm from the family of Yosef. I'm from the family of Yosef. I'm from the family of Yosef. Right? You have to say that. That's one of the lines which protect us. Why? Because Yosef HaTzadik was someone that we taught the Ayin Hora can't be sholet on him. The bracha that he gives to Menashe of Ephraim V'yisku larov b'keren ha'aretz, they should be like fish. Listen to this. My dear friends, you don't want the Ayin Hora, be like a fish. Why? Fish aren't visible. They're underwater. They're not showing off. They're not parading. They're untouchable because they're invisible. We've got to learn to be a bit more discreet. A little bit more like fish. If you're like fish, do you know what the day of the week the fish were created by Hashem? 5th day. I said today in Tehillim on paid bet, couldn't believe it. David HaMelech writes, he didn't just call him Yosef, he calls him Yehoyasaf. David HaMelech added the hay to Yosef to teach us this principle. That the hay protects you. Now let me share with you why. The Mekubalim say, do you know what the hay is? The hay is the letter that Hashem used to create Olam Hazeh. The Yud of Hashem's name creates Olam Haba, and the hay creates Olam Hazeh. Let me explain. The hay is what's going to connect you to oneness, to Achdut, to Enod Milvado. When you're part of oneness, we said, what's the problem with counting? Because you're creating separation. One way to avoid Ayin Hora is to keep realizing that every bracha comes from Hashem. Remember the hay, remember Hashem. It comes from Hashem, and when you have a friend or someone that you don't like who has a good blessing that you would have wished, you say that comes from Hashem too. A while ago, someone did something harsh to our family, and then they got a blessing. And my immediate reaction is like, really, Hashem? And then I say, okay, you're in charge. Do you know what Yosef HaTzadik said to his brothers when after 22 years, his brothers in land, they came and said, I'm sorry for sending you to Egypt and like ruining your life. What would you do if one of your brothers and sisters ruined your life, sold you to prison in Egypt, and then 22 years later, after they've wrecked their life, they say, oh, sorry. What would you say? Do you know what Yosef said? You've got nothing to be sorry about. HaKadosh Baruch Hu shalach me. It was Hashem who sent me, not you. It wasn't you. Here's the thing. My dear friends, Olam Hazeh, you can look at in one of two ways. Let's even take October the 7th. Was October the 7th an event that there were some wicked terrorists, and these wicked terrorists plotted to make a decision to massacre 1,400 of us, and as a consequence of their plotting, the world's in turmoil now? That's option one. Or is it a hay? Which means we have no idea why Hashem does what he does. But Enod Milvado. And October the 7th, obviously Hashem knew about from the time when Hashem created Adam and Chava. This was always part of the plan. Like the Holocaust, like the destruction of the Second Temple, like the destruction of the First Temple, like the Crusades. We say in the Pesach every year, every generation, people try and annihilate us. This was just another one which we have no understanding of, but what we do know of, there's a bigger picture, there's a higher picture. Bezrat Hashem is leading to Mashiach. Just like the Holocaust led to Medinat Israel, let's hope October the 7th is mamash going to lead to the third Bet HaMikdash. That's the way to look at it. Hopefully it's bringing a bracha. But to think and to get caught, like for example, these hostages, our poor hostages, who I still sometimes, I'd like to even put myself in their shoes for a few moments and I just start sweating. Like to be in a tunnel, or God knows where they are. How many days now? 150 days nearly. Like 15 minutes, 15 hours, 150 days. So, and then people think, there's a whole thing with now Qatar and America. You know, Joe Biden, when he's having his ice cream, had the very nice message to tell us it's going to end up on Monday. It's very kind of him, Joe. And do we think Joe Biden's going to decide when they come out? Do we think Netanyahu's going to decide when they come out? Or do we think Bezrat Hashem, they'll come out tonight as Rizat Torah, but when they do come out, it's from Hashem. Hashem's going to decide. You think it's a coincidence that the president, prime minister of Argentina goes to the Kotel, prays his heart out, cries to Hashem, and Dafka, the 2 hostages get released from Argentina? You think it's a coincidence? You think it's a coincidence that the first hostage that was released, her mother did that for Shat Chala and Shmirat Shabbat, and then we don't understand Hashem's cheshbonot. I'm not saying we know, but I do know one thing, it was Hashem. That I do know. And what I do know is it's wrong to start looking at reality as it's an independent entities making decisions. Do you know what the world is? Do you know what Joe Biden is? He's a puppet. Donald Trump's a puppet. Netanyahu's a puppet. Hashem is pulling the strings. It's like a puppet show. Reality is one big puppet show. Do you know how to avoid the Ayin Hora? Look up! Look at the puppets here who's pulling all the strings. When you know it's Hashem, when you know that Enod Milvado, you're protected from Ayin Hora, because then you're part of Hashem, and you can't be jealous of Hashem. There's no such thing as an Ayin Hora on Hashem. Stay with Hashem. Stay with the hay. You know, even that hay, I think it's amazing. It's 2 yuds. Really, a hay is a yud and a yud. Nachon? 2 yuds. It's part of Hashem. It's Hashem. But then, some people can look at the hay, and you even see the space between, and you think it's broken. It just shows that we can even look at the hay from a negative perception or a positive perception. What we're learning tonight is let's do everything in a positive perception, but dafka the hay, and let's look at life. So for example, in your own life, as I look through all of you, I'm sure every single one of you, there's stuff happens in your life that you're not happy about. There's stuff happens in your life that's made you sad. There's stuff happens in your life where it's not what you ideally wanted and it's a big challenge. Start looking at it as maybe that was the biggest bracha. Do you know? I came up with the chidush, I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it's emet, I hope it is. What does Nachum Ish Gamzu say? He says, Gamzu l'tova. He doesn't say Gamzu tov. Gamzu l'tova. Maybe he's saying, Gamzu l'tov hey. It's the hey who's doing the tov. It's Hashem's doing the good, it's good. Even this, 10 years ago, we had a merger in my organization back in London in Genesis, and I didn't realize a merger means it goes in different directions. And it becomes a takeover, and they said, I got a letter in the post saying, Rabbi Hill, you're no longer employed. And let's just say I was rather a little bit sad after 20 years. I said at the time, Gamzu l'tova. I didn't know why, didn't know how, now I know how. I wouldn't be in Tel Aviv. Never would I be in Tel Aviv if that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be in the land of Israel. This morning I was so joyous. I said, wow, Hashem, you're allowing me with this beautiful blue sky and the sun. It's in England right now, it's freezing cold. To walk in the Dalit Amot. Do you know how many tzaddikim would do anything just to walk 4 steps in the land of Israel? Do you know how lucky we are that for 2,000 years the Jewish people have done anything to walk in the land of Israel, and we now can? And that wouldn't have happened to me. I wouldn't have this privilege. By the way, it's my dad's dream all of his life to come and live in Israel, and he never got a chance to. And actually, when my dad passed, all of a sudden, I got the chance to. But that wouldn't have happened if there wouldn't have been that takeover, and I wouldn't have had sad news. So that sad news was the best thing ever in the end. Baruch Hashem. And if you can learn to say Baruch Hashem when that trauma hits, when that challenge hits, you say Baruch Hashem, Gamzu l'tova, I know it's from you. Wow. That opens up the gates for the bracha to come so much quicker. When you're saying, how dare you do that to me? And you get angry and you want to take revenge. One thing I found out about Israel, everyone's suing everyone. It's like suing city. Everyone's in litigation here. Matem sim, stop it, relax. If someone does something, it's not them, it's Hashem. So the Torah says, don't be jealous and don't hold a grudge. Why? Because they didn't do it. If I would take a stick and hit you, do you blame the stick? We have to look at reality as the hay. We have to understand that Hashem is the puppeteer. Hashem's overseeing. That's one way to avert the Ayin Hora. One way. It's the Yosef way. Maybe that's where Chamsa comes from, which is the 5. You're protected with the 5. Being invisible. That's one way. There's another way. And the second way is the Rabbi Nachman way. The second way is, it says in Pirkei Avot, either you've got the Ayin Hora of Bilam, or you've got the Ayin Tova of Avraham. It's up to you. Are you going to be Bilam or Avraham? And there's nothing in between. Let me explain. The Baal Shem Tov says whatever happens in reality is then paralleled in Shemayim. So if Chas v'Shalom, one of you has an Ayin Hora for someone else, you are now susceptible for Ayin Hora back. Because you've created the Ayin Hora Keli. You're like a magnet now attracting other Ayin Horas. Shiri, who's next? Okay, so if you go now, get it ready, because then we can go quick.
She's going to message me, but
okay. So like this. How can you be like Avraham? You know, Bilam had one eye. One eye. Because he was only looking at reality through that. So I'm going to do a little experiment with you now. Are you ready? Here we go. I'd like every single one of you to find someone to look at. Okay? So just find someone to look at. Everyone pick someone near you, just to look at, eyes to eyes. Come on, you two look at each other. Come on. Just find someone to look at. Yeah, you got your 2 friends there. All right, Barry. Me and you can come here, Barry. Or you go to Dan. Dan, go to Barry. Come on, Dan. Come here. Or everyone's got to find someone. So I want you to look in their eyes. Have a look.
Okay.
You ready? Has everyone found someone? Everyone's found someone? Everyone's found someone?
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways to do this. Most people look at someone and you're looking either in a positive way or a negative way. And if you look at it in a quizzical, cynical, negative way, that's what we call an Ayin Hora. Now I just want you all now to close your eyes a minute. Close your eyes. Relax. Relax. Just breathe in. And then breathe out. Let's get you to a nice neshama state of mind. Breathe in. And then breathe out. And soon when I ask you to open up your eyes, imagine you're looking at your child. Because one thing I can tell you about my 4 children, even if their hair's not looking good, even if they haven't got makeup on, even if they're not doing good things, I love them just the same. I look at my children with unconditional love every time I see them. And we need to learn to look at each other with the same eyes as the Lubavitcher Rebbe looked at everyone coming to him. Do you know why he had the koach habracha, the power of a blessing? Because he just saw the good in you. He saw part of Hashem in you. If you see the good in someone, you have the power to bless them. We have to learn to see each other only like the Rebbe used to see people, only the way a parent sees a child. So now I ask you to open up your eyes. Now go back to look at that person. Just look at the good. Just look at the good. Just see what beautiful things we can see. Just see good. Just see good in the other. See Hashem's shining light. Shine through those lights. See the good in them. Find something to say, wow, that's beautiful. There's beauty in everyone. There's goodness in everyone. You can stop now. But what I would like you to do is from this moment on, let's see each other with Ayin Tov. Let's just see the glass is half full, not half empty. Let's stop being so cynical and critical and quizzical and what's not. The Jewish people are the best people at complaining. We are the ultimate complainers. We need to stop doing that because that's creating an Ayin Hora for us because it rebounds on us. I'll give you an example. There's a Gemara in Chagiga, page 15, that changed my life. And the Gemara in Chagiga says the following. There was an Amorah that's walking in the street, says Eliyahu Hanavi, and sees Elijah the prophet. So he says to Eliyahu Hanavi, what are they doing in Shemayim now? In Gan Eden, right now, what are they doing? So Eliyahu Hanavi says, I can hear. Amar Rava, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Hashem is quoting the rabbis of the Talmud. So the Amira said, what about my Rebbe, Rabbi Meir? Is he quoting Rabbi Meir? And Eliyahu afraid Hashem doesn't quote Rabbi Meir. Slamalo, Rabbi Meir, I'm the greatest of all, my Rebbe. He said, because Rabbi Meir had a teacher called Elisha ben Avua, who became a heretic. And even after he became a heretic, Rabbi Meir kept on learning from him. And we're not impressed in Shamayim with that. The Amoira got so upset. He said, how dare you? Do you know why Rabbi Meir continued? He did it to try and be Makar of his teacher. He knew how to filter the good from the bad. He knew what was heresy and put that aside and take the goods. Rabbi Meir was a tzaddik. Eliyahu Novi says, Rega, Rega, Rega. They're quoting Rabbi Meir. You think Hashem didn't know Rabbi Meir was a tzaddik? You think Hashem didn't know? My friends, this is hard to say. When there's tremendous lashon hara about someone, when there's negativity about someone, when you're saying awful words, you're creating a pet in Shamayim that says those awful words. You're harming that person. We have to stop harming people by talking badly. We have to stop harming people by looking badly. When we look badly, that creates an Ayin Hora in Shamayim. But if we can have an Ayin Tovah, straight away in Shamayim, they have an Ayin Tovah in us. They're looking for good in us. You can either be a Bilam who is just, they don't have that, that's not pretty, that's not nice, why should they have? Or we can be an Avraham, seeing the good in everyone, seeing the love in everyone, Ayin Tov, and then Ayin Tov comes to you. My point is, you can go upstairs to Rabbi Hill, and he removes the Ayin Hora. If Chas v'Shalom, one of you continues to have an Ayin Hora of other people, you're susceptible, you're vulnerable, it's going to come back so quickly. You have to go back every day. But if we can change our actions, we can learn to only see the Ayin Tovah, we can learn to see the hey, we're protected. Something else. There's a big tzaddik called come to me in a minute. And he wrote that when he started giving a shir, he did the following thing. He would have just two big payot. He would put one of them at the front. Whenever he would give a shiur, he'd put one of his payers out, looking untidy. And they said to him, why did you do that? And he answered, he doesn't want anyone to think he's looking nice. He wants people to think, he's looking a mess, so he doesn't get an Ayin Hora. Let's stop a minute. We do the opposite. If you're going to be on camera, you're going to film, we have to, oh my gosh, everyone's going to see me. I've got to put my makeup on. I've got to look my best. I'm paranoid about how I look. It's important that I look good. Maybe it's not. Maybe we've got to stop flaunting and start being more humble. Maybe we've got to learn, couldn't care less what people think. Who cares? And maybe, dafka, you don't want to look your best and let everyone see it, and then chas v'shalom, someone brings an Ayin Hora on you. Maybe, dafka, be more humble. Dafka, you're going to be on camera. Don't be so perfect. Don't feel you need to look perfect. Because maybe you're going to look $1 million, chas v'shalom, someone's going to say, look at them showing off. It's important not to show off. It's important to understand that B'ezrat Hashem, even if you have an Ayin Tovah, other people might not. And here's now the secret, says the Rabbi Chaim Freelander. Are you ready? This is the way it works. If chas v'shalom, someone's got an Ayin Hora on you, do you know what they do in Shamayim? They're going to ask, did you do anything to upset them? If you made no mistake, if you did nothing, they can't harm you. But if chas v'shalom, either maybe you were upset with them, angry with them, jealous of them, spoke lashon hara about them, harmed them, wow, they can harm you big time. So the way to protect yourself now is, says Rabbi Dessler, not only should you have an Ayin Tovah, not only should you focus on the hey, it's really important to be so makpid not to upset people, to harm people, because that's what happens in Shamayim. It's like a spiritual boxing match. Who's got more merits? If someone puts an Ayin Hora on you, they look in Shamayim, Did you do anything to upset them? Willingly, deliberately, carelessly. Obviously, if you did something and it wasn't your fault at all, you can't be harmed. But if you've done something to embarrass them in public, to speak lashon hara about them, and then they have an ayin hara on you, we can be harmed. And Rabbi Hill can only remove the ayin hara which is on you. We can't remove what's coming. So it's really important not to flaunt our success. Any questions before I finish? The red string, by the way, we're not into that. If again, think about it. The way we've explained it tonight, you're creating a spiritual vessel. What difference does it make if you've got a red string on? If you're an Ayin Hora kind of person, you could have 20 red strings on. It's coming to you. But if you're an Ayin Tov kind of person, you don't need a red string. That's why the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, Narishkeit. You know, it's hilarious. The Kabbalah Center went and they tried to patent the red string. Honestly, there's not a Masorah in Chazal, in Kabbalah about it. There's a few interesting things, but it's really not, it's not going to help you one jot. What's going to help you is connecting to Hashem. What's going to help you is to have Ayin Tov. Let's just see if there's anything else before I wrap up. That's why it says someone Pisces in Adar. We're talking about Adar now. The Arizal says people who are born in Pisces, no Ayin Hara. Dafka Adar Sheni, which is my father. Someone's born in Adar Sheni. Why? We've learned tonight, because if you're the fish, mamash, and if you can live like that fish and be invisible and be anonymous, it's a great month to be born. Any Pisceans in here? Whoa! I see that in here. Mamash like, just sweet. You as well? People who are Pisces, they're so matok, they're so sweet, you wouldn't even want to have an Ayin Hara on you. You know? They're just so just sweet, like honey. What's the point? Like, you shouldn't have Ayin Hara on the sweet thing. So there's something very mystical about Pisces. Let me just finish off with a story and then maybe I'll take some questions about Ayin Hara. It goes like this. Sorry for those who've heard it before, but I think, especially on Instagram, I'd like to share with you the story now. It's a really powerful story about Ayin Hara and how to be protected. There was two brothers in the beginning of the 20th century. Jewish brothers. Philanthropists. Owners of a shop in New York that some of you have probably shopped, called Macy's. Any of you been to Macy's? The Strauss brothers, the Jewish brothers. Isidore and Nathan. And they had a debate. Do we give charity to the land of Israel or not? How important is it? And Isidore said no, Nathan said yes. He went off to Israel. And he opened up the first soup kitchen in Israel. During the opening of the soup kitchen in 1912, he had an accident. And he broke his leg, which meant he had to stay in hospital. And in those days, to break your leg was pretty serious in 1912. And he was gutted. He didn't understand. He'd gone to Israel. He'd done the mitzvah. He was doing kindness. And Hashem rewards him by breaking his leg. Be'emet Hashem. Really? And his brother was so upset with him. Because Isidore and his wife and Nathan were meant to go on an amazing cruise in April 1912. They were meant to be on the biggest, beautiful cruise of all, Titanic. And when Titanic went down, and in fact, if you watch the film Titanic, we're taught that the story of the two old people at the end hugging each other was actually Isidore and his wife. They died in the end on the bed. They gave their boat in the end to someone else. Maybe they gave charity in the end. Maybe that was a bit of tshuva. And when Nathan realized that breaking of the leg, where we said Gamze Tova, was the biggest bracha he's ever had in his life and saved his life, he realized he's now going to dedicate the rest of his life to tzedakah. And many of you I bet have been to a town called Netanya. Guess what? Netanya is called after Nathan Strauss. I bet many of you have walked in Yerushalayim on Rehov Strauss, named after Nathan Strauss. Why? Because his Ayin Tovah saved him from the Ayin Hora of Titanic. I am convinced that the biggest Ayin Hora of all was this biggest ship, the Titanic ship, created the Titanic Ayin Hora. Do you know how many of them must have look at us. My dear friends, I really urge you to do something. Next time you have a beautiful holiday, maybe don't show off about it. That's one of the things I really struggle with on social media. You have a great holiday, why does the whole world need to see it? Yeah, take photos, keep it for yourself. People who you really love, like your mom, who will never give you an ayin hara. Let people that really love you see it. But why would you put something on social media that maybe there's people that would do anything to have a holiday, and they're going to be jealous? And they're going to say, why should you have that holiday? Chutzpah. We have to be much more selective what we put on social media. We have to be much more selective what we tell people. And Bezrat Hashem, by having the Ayin Tovah for each other, Bezrat Hashem, by focusing on the hay, Bezrat Hashem, by being more discreet, by being more humble, I'll give you all a bracha, that the Ayin Hara shouldn't be sholet on you. You could definitely say Tehillim Tzadik Aleph, shh. You could definitely say Psalm 91, Shir Shon Negaim, which really protects people from Ayin Hara. But again, it's not going to protect you if you're giving out Ayin Haras to people. It's not going to protect you if you're looking through quizzical eyes. It's not going to protect you if you're seeing the world not from the perspective of the hay. The Kedushas Levi says, why is Hashem allowed to count the Jewish people? Why is he allowed to count the Pekudei Mishkan? Because it's all Hashem. But if we're chas v'shalom not understanding that union, that oneness, and we're chas v'shalom creating separation, that creates the ability, chas v'shalom, to be susceptible. So Hashem should help you to be protected. There is a beautiful tefillah on my siddur there. If you come and show me later, I can give you and should photocopy it, which is a powerful tefillah to say specifically on Motzei Shabbat, the beginning after Havdalah, which can protect you also. But as I said, all these skulot can do a bit, but the best way to protect yourself is yourself. You're the only ones who have control to create an iron shield around you. If you're like Avraham and have an Ayin Tov, you're protected. If you're connected like Yosef to the hay, you're protected. So either be like Yosef, be like Avraham, halavai, be like both. And Bezrat Hashem, you should never have the Ayin Hara. And Bezrat Hashem, Hashem should give you all tremendous brachot. You should give to Am Yisrael only brachot now. And Bezrat Hashem, you should all have the greatest bracha of all very soon. Mashiach Tzidkeinu b'meher v'yameinu. Amen. Any questions? Any questions?